Hi guys, I'm Nirasha Deseram, and in today's session we'll be discussing about production possibilities curve. So to start the lesson with, there are two main concepts that you need to understand. First thing is what production possibility is and what this production possibility curve shows. Okay, production possibility is the maximum number of goods and services that an economy can produce within a certain period of time by full employment and full production of resources available for present production using given technology. This is the definition for production possibility. Okay. So the two main important terminologies that you come across in this definition are full employment or full utilization and full production. Full employment means all the resources that are available for present production should be utilized. Okay, that is, your present utilization of resources should not sacrifice the living standards of future generations. If full employment is not achieved, that you call unemployment. Okay, and full production means each resource unit should contribute its maximum to satisfy the needs and wants of the society. If full production is not achieved, that you call underemployment. Okay, this full employment and full production are the two conditions that are required to achieve production efficiency. And if any of these conditions are not met, then the production is inefficient. Okay, and the production possibilities curve. This production possibilities curve shows the alternative combinations of goods and services that an economy can produce within a certain period of time by full employment and full production of resources available for present production with given technology. That is simply production possibility shows curve the production possibility of an economy. Okay, and there are 5 assumptions in developing a production possibilities curve. First one is production efficiency, that is full employment and full production. The next one is specific period of time. The production possibilities curve we develop for a specific period of time. Why? Because with time changes, the production possibility of the economy will change. And economy produces only two goods, that is simple and easy to understand. It has only two axes, X and Y, that is only two goods can be depicted. Then fixed supply of resources and fixed technology. Both technology and resource stock are factors that will decide or determine the production possibility of an economy. Therefore, in developing a production possibilities curve, we assume that the resource stock and the technology of this economy are fixed. Okay, so production possibilities curve is the best example to explain this concept of opportunity cost. As we all know, opportunity cost is the cost of the next best alternative of a choice. Okay, in production possibilities curve, opportunity cost is the number of units of a commodity that has been sacrificed to produce an additional unit of another commodity. Okay, so opportunity cost, there is a formula for the calculation, and that is loss over gain. Okay, so in this given example, opportunity cost of moving from D to C. Okay, what is your loss? Your loss is you are losing 2 units of Y. At D, you are producing 6 units of Y, and at C, you are producing only 4 units of Y. You lose 2 units, that is minus 2. And from X, you gain 6 units. At point D, you produce 0 units of X, and at point C, you produce 6 units of X. That is, you gain 6 units. So minus 2 over 6, that is, your opportunity cost is minus 0.3. Okay, and there are 3 different types of PPCs. First one is concave to the origin. Second one is convex to the origin. And third one is straight line. Okay, concave to the origin is increasing opportunity cost. And there are reasons for the shape of the PPC. For increasing opportunity cost or concave to the origin PPC, there are two reasons. First one is heterogeneous factors of production. That is, resources that are not perfectly substitutable. That is, the resources that are used in one industry cannot be used the exact same way in another industry. Okay. Therefore, there is opportunity cost, and that opportunity cost is increasing. Okay, and the production technique. The same way as factors of production, the technique that is used to produce one good cannot be used the same way to produce the other good as well. Okay, so these are the two reasons for increasing opportunity cost. Then you have convex to the origin or decreasing opportunity cost, and the reason for this is increasing returns to scale. Generally, large scale companies achieve increasing returns to scale. Okay, that is, in longer term, they manage to reduce their cost, and that is how they achieve increasing returns to scale. Okay, so with increasing returns to scale, their cost reduces. That means their opportunity cost will also reduce. Clear? And then comes constant opportunity cost or straight line. And the reason for this straight line or constant opportunity cost is homogeneous factors of production. That is, the factors that are being used in one industry can be used the exact same way in another industry as well. Okay, so that is what will result in constant opportunity cost. And then we are moving on to the determinants of production possibility. So based on these determinants also, these assumptions, the 5 assumptions in building the PPC has been developed. Okay, so there are 3 determinants of production possibility. First one is the resource stock. If there is a change in resource stock, the production possibility curve will shift. Okay, if there is a change in productivity of resources, again the PPC will change. And the last factor is level of technology. If there is an improvement in technology, then the PPC will shift rightwards or outwards. Okay, if there is a deterioration in the technology, then the PPC will shift inwards or leftwards. Okay, when it comes to this application of PPC, we come across 4 concepts. Production efficiency, production inefficiency, actual output and potential output. Production is inefficient. Efficient production, we discuss the 2 factors, full employment and full production, or fully employed and efficiently employed. Then you have inefficient production, that is the opposite of efficient production, unemployment or underemployment. Okay, then the third concept is actual output. Actual output is the level of output that the economy has actually achieved. It can be on the PPC or inside the PPC. Okay, then the potential output. Potential output is the level of output that an economy can achieve if the economy is production efficient. That is, if the economy is under full employment and full production, the output that an economy can achieve, that is what you call the potential output. Okay, so it is very clear in this diagram. Point A and point B shows the potential output levels. Okay, potential output, that is full employment and full production. Okay, and point C and D, these are productively inefficient, and these are the actual output levels that the economy generally achieves, because full employment and full production generally an economy cannot achieve. It's not cannot achieve. So for an example, all the citizens in the country cannot have jobs. That is, resources are underemployed. Yeah, therefore this actual potential output generally an economy doesn't achieve. Okay, then reasons for production inefficiencies. As I told, unemployment and underemployment. Those two reasons I have already explained. And then economic recession. Economic recession is a short-term decline in economic activities. Okay. So when there's a short-term decline in economic activities, economy won't perform on the PPC. Economy won't operate on the PPC. Instead, it will operate within the PPC. And then economic embargoes and international trade, which will be discussed in a while. Okay. Economic growth and PPC. So there are two concepts, potential growth and actual growth, and you have balanced growth versus imbalanced growth. Okay. Potential growth is the growth in the potential output in the economy. They are the PPC. The PPC of the economy will shift rightwards or outwards. Actual growth is a growth in the actual production point in the economy. Okay, clear with that? And then we come to balanced growth and imbalanced growth. Balanced growth is, as we said, in PPC we show two productions, no, two goods that are being produced. If both the goods that are being produced, if the production possibility of both the goods that are being produced increases at the same phase, then that is a balanced growth. Okay. If the production possibility increases only from one industry or one commodity, that is what you call a imbalanced economic growth. Okay. Then here comes another four concepts: scarcity, alternatives, choice, and opportunity cost. Scarcity. What is scarcity? Scarcity is there are unlimited human wants and limited resources. When you try to satisfy unlimited human wants and with limited resources, that is where scarcity arises. Okay. So any point outside the PPC will show scarcity. This is the maximum possible production that the economy can have. This is the production possibility of the economy. So point A and C are on the PPC. Okay, that is the production possibility. And any point outside the PPC is outside the production possibility of an economy, and that shows scarcity. Okay. Alternatives. Any point on the PPC shows alternative combinations of goods and services that the economy can produce. Okay. Then comes choice. Out of the alternatives available, you can select any alternative. This selection is what you call the choice. Okay. Then comes opportunity cost. We discussed this concept a while ago as well. So opportunity cost is to produce an extra unit of one commodity, how many units of another commodity that you need to sacrifice. Okay. For an example, to produce at point B, you have to sacrifice Y2 minus Y1 from commodity Y and X2 minus X1 from commodity X. Okay, that is what you call opportunity cost. Then comes present choice, future economic growth, and living standards. This is a possible area to be tested, and this has been tested in past paper questions as well. This says if the economy allocates more resources to produce capital goods than consumer goods, okay, you are sacrificing your present living standards. But in future, you will be able to achieve higher economic growth and better living standards. Okay, it's easy to remember also. And it says if the economy allocates more resources to produce consumer goods and less resources to produce capital goods, then you are having a better living standard at present, but you will achieve low growth in living standards in future, and your economic growth will also be slow. In this diagram, point A, if your economy is operating at point A, your economic growth is very large, PPC 1 to PPC 3. Okay, and you are having a better living standard as well. But if you're operating at point B, then your economic growth is only from PPC 1 to PPC 2, and your living standards has not much improved also. Okay. Next comes economic embargo. So this is what we have to do with this. Here is what we have to do with international trade. Okay. So this can be studied under two headings or two categories. First thing is restrictions on international trade, and second one is barriers on foreign investments, donations and aids. Okay. Restrictions on international trade is, as given in the example, assume United Nations ask all the countries, do not purchase oil from Iran. It's not that Iran's production possibility goes down. Yes, but the actual production of the economy will go down. Why? Because even though you produce oil, there's no one else to purchase. Okay. Therefore, your point, if earlier you've been operating at point A and now you're operating at point B. Why? Because it's not the production possibility reduced, but your actual output, actual production, you bring it down because no one is there to buy. Okay. And the second one is barriers on foreign investments. The example given is, assume that United Nations ask other countries to withdraw their investments from Iran. Then what happens? The production possibility of the economy will reduce. That means the PPC will shift inwards. Okay, clear with that? Okay. Then three more concepts: international trade and PPC, economic recession and depression, and allocation of resources and PPC. International trade and PPC. International trade, yes, we'll be discussing in our future sessions as well. That is a separate lesson. But generally, as we all know, international trade allows an economy to specialize in what it is good at producing. Okay, and produce it more and exchange it with other countries. Okay. This will allow a country to have a higher consumption than its production possibility. Okay. Therefore, when a country is engaging in international trade, the country's consumption point is beyond its production possibility. Clear? Okay. Then economic recession and depression. Economic recession is, as I told earlier as well, that is a short-term decline in economic activities. That is a very short-term activity. Therefore, your production possibility curve won't shift, but your production point will shift inwards. As in this diagram, from point A to point B. That is economic recession. Okay. And you have economic depression, that is a long-term decline in economic activities. When there is economic depression, then your PPC will shift inwards. Why? Because your production possibility is reducing. Okay. Reallocation of resources. Reallocation of resources is changing resource allocation from one industry to another. So in this, you are changing your resource allocation from industry Y to industry X, because you are moving your production point from point A to point B. Okay. So the last concept for this session is economic efficiency. So to achieve economic efficiency, two conditions need to be satisfied: productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. Productive efficiency is the production of any particular mix of goods and services in the least costly way. Okay. That is, to achieve production efficiency, we know you need to achieve full employment and full production. That is, any point on the PPC are productively efficient. Then you have allocative efficiency. That is, the production of any particular mix of goods and services which is most wanted by the society. That is, where marginal cost equals to marginal benefit. Any point on the PPC or within the PPC where marginal cost equals to marginal benefit, that is allocatively efficient. Okay. For your production to be economically efficient, it has to be productively efficient as well as allocatively efficient. That is, it needs to be on the PPC and where marginal cost equals to marginal benefit, that is on the diagram given, that is point A. Okay, point D is allocatively efficient but productively not efficient. Point B and C are productively efficient but allocatively not efficient. So that's all for this today's session, guys. Hope you all understood, and thank you.